My name is Balpreet Kaur, and I'm a practicing Sikh woman. And I got into my faith by mere coincidence, actually. Um, I had never understood the Sikh faith. I was born into a Sikh family, and we weren't really practicing. We didn't actually understand what it meant for us. We didn't really understand the underlying spirituality. And all of a sudden, my older brother offered to take me to a camp, a Sikh camp, where they talked about the Sikh faith, the philosophy, the history. And I was apprehensive because I had never, interacted in a genuine way with Sikh people um, who knew what they were doing. And so I went there and I met these beautiful Sikh women. They tied turbans. They were so loving. And at that point in my life, I was just looking for a sense of belonging, a sense of love, a sense of acceptance. And they just welcomed me with like in a hug, and I was just so surprised. And reflecting on that, I was like, what is it about them that makes them so loving, makes them so passionate? And as I explored that question throughout the years, I came to the realization and kind of fell in love with what the faith had to offer me and what it made me feel, and how it offered me basically a vision of who I wanted to be in the future. A better Balpreet, a person who could serve the world in a holistic way. And I saw that reflection in the women, and I'm coming to the realization that I want to be like that as well. So that's actually how I got into the Sikh faith, and how I'm trying to live my life according to the philosophy. Yeah, so I went to The Ohio State University as a freshman, and I was an eyesore, you know. And at that point in my journey, I was just figuring out my role in society, what I wanted to do in college, how I fit in with other people. I had always been homogenous, typical brown girl, but now that I was going off away from home, away from what was comfortable, I was also experimenting with my physical identity. And so that included tying a turban, and that included like keeping my facial hair, and you know, and so in that sense, they kind of merged together at a really awkward place, and I found myself being the other. I did not have the comfortableness of being homogenous anymore, right? I couldn't fit in into a sea of people. Um, and with that being ripped away from me, I had a lot of encounters with people that, they would just stare at me and walk away. They would make eye contact with me, like glance at my entire physical body and just, look away. And I saw these questions in their eyes because I was asking them to myself as well. Why do I look like this? What is this? What is it about my physical identity that represents my faith? And how do I have these conversations with people? So that experience as being the other kind of propelled me to interfaith work. They were looking for a Sikh representative for an interfaith council, and obviously I was the most visible one. And they were like, "You can do it. This is a great opportunity for you." And not knowing what I was getting myself into, I went to a conference as a part of Interfaith Youth Corps, and there I was actually able to answer those questions. Back home and at OSU, people were staring at me, treating me differently and not asking questions. But here, they were not only accepting me as like, okay, you're a Sikh, you're a woman, you're practicing. I want to know about that. They were asking the questions that I never had the answers to, but all of a sudden, because I was involved in such an accepting an open environment, I found the answers just coming out of my mouth. And that was a very formative period of my college experience, because that kind of gave me confidence to explain to other people, why am I the other? Why am I different? Why do you treat me as such? Um, and kind of gaining the tools to build bridges rather than ignoring the questions that people have. I make a point to answer them, or welcome people, to allow them to answer, because most people feel like they're going to offend me if they ask a question or not. And I don't want that, because I understand it's human nature to ask questions about something you don't know. Um, so in getting involved with interfaith work and talking to college students, um, I also interacted with the religious other, as in like people that were different than me. I had never talked to a Baha'i before, or a Jain before. Um, but now I was having dialogue, and I realized that we might be the religious other, but we're all human. We are all going through the same struggles of identity, of trying to find where we fit in this world. Um, and so for me, it just became a transcendent experience of just realizing, wow, humanity is so diverse. This universe is so much bigger than the religious other, like me versus them. We are here together. Um, this earth is our home together. Um, and we should treat it as such by treating each other like family. I think I think the most inherent opportunity and strength we have is the mutual inspiration from our faiths, right? You ask any Sikh why they enjoy doing social justice, and they will say it's because my gurus did it. They died for other people of different faiths. They laid down their lives, and why wouldn't I do the same? With the religious community, that is our inherent strength, is that we can fall back onto our different traditions and find something that truly inspires us to be a servant of this world, to build bridges, because that is what I think religion does. It binds us as one, right? Everyone has faith, right? Faith in themselves, faith in humanity, faith in this universe, faith in a divine being. And having that faith is a strength, right? And that, I think, gets kind of lost in the whole logistics of interfaith work. That we lose that passion, we lose sight of what truly motivates us to be here. But logistically, I think the interfaith community does have a large network to fall back on. Um, I was just having a conversation with a friend, with one of the participants, like the Sikh community. We all know each other. There's like 1 degree of separation. Same way with the interfaith community, right? Y'all know Ibu Patel. I know Ibu Patel. So it's like, it's just that commonality. We have such a large network, large amount of people that we can go to for support, to go to for understanding. I think not many people have, except for the corporate world. They're just different, but and the amount of I guess the amount of youth we have, the people that are the college students, the high school students, because now I think, especially nowadays, interfaith is not just something old people do, right, in their free time. It's transformed into something that college students and high school students are actively pursuing, because they realize that their faith is important to them. And that in itself is the greatest strength we have, because it's the young people that have the potential to make the most change, because we are the most passionate, we are the most able to get out and do something. We're not really tied down by the bindings of adult life yet. Um, and so we're just free to imagine a world and envision a world that we want to live in and make it possible. So. That don't lose sight of the people on the ground. Because we were talking about the hierarchy, we get lost in etiquette and proper manners and titles and power, but we often lose sight of movements happen with one person, and that they should not underestimate the power of a person with a vision. Because that person is the one who's actually doing the work, doing the transformations. And another thing I would tell them is relationships. Faith is a very personal thing. Interfaith work is a very personal thing. Creating change in this world starts with yourself. And so if you're doing this because you're obligated to do it, because your title says you should do it, then there's no point to it, unless you have a personal investment in this. Then it's truly, you see where your work will take you.